channel. I'm Rachel, the owner and creator here at the Eclectic Cottage in Spokane, Washington. Today's Friday, and I have to tell you, I've had kind of a little bit of a rough week as far as motivation and creativity go. It's just been kind of, I don't know, I've just felt kind of down in the dumps, I guess, on Tuesday and then again on Wednesday. And I had started a project that I wanted to complete for today's video and ended up breaking one of the pieces. And so I'm going to have to work on replacing that. And that did not help my mood at all. And so yesterday morning, I was just like, you need to just pick a couple items and do something, and that will help get you feeling better. And sure enough, as soon as I started painting, I felt better. And so I did manage to get a few items done for today's video. I hope you like them. I think they all turned out really well, and they're super cute. I just wish there were more of them. I'm sorry for that. But anyway, occasionally you just have to ask for a little bit of grace. And so this is that week for me. Anyway, but without further ado, let's get to the projects that I did manage to get done for today's video. Project 1 is a pretty simple one. I have had this little owl sitting out in my garage for I don't even know how long now. So I grabbed him out to do him up for fall, and I started by painting him with one good even coat of Rustoleum 2X spray paint in flat white, just to give him a good base coat so that if any of my paint lifts, it won't go back to blue. Then it's on to painting, and I am stippling paint on this little owl with DIY's Crinoline, which is this absolutely beautiful kind of off-white creamy color. And then once that's done and completely dry, it's time to seal the paint. Now, since DIY paint is clay-based and porous, it's important that you always seal it. And for this guy, I am going to be going over it with dark wax. And I really wanted to have the dark wax not stick too much to this owl. So that is why I chose the big top rather than going over it with clear wax. Then it was on to the dark wax once that big top layer was completely dry, and I am just using a small brush for this, and I'm going over the owl all over really well, just rubbing that wax in. And since it is stippled, the paint, it's got a little bit of a texture to it, which is kind of nice because it holds on to that wax just a little bit better than if the owl were completely smooth. So again, I just go over the entire piece with one good layer of the dark wax, just in sections, wiping it back with a shop towel as I go and making sure not to miss anything. And once that's finished, this little owl is done, and I absolutely love how he looks. He'll be a perfect addition to one of my fall vignettes. For project 2, I had these two metal pillar holders that I got just not too long ago, and I wanted to give them a little bit more personality than just their plain black finish that they had. And I was really struggling, honestly, with a color, and I finally landed on Prairie Grey. I wanted some darker tones to go in some of my vignettes with a lot of the neutrals that I already have in them, and I thought this would be a good color. So I painted these each with two good even coats of the Prairie Grey and let them dry completely between coats. And then once that was done and they were nice and dry again, I went in with a shop towel and did some distressing just so that you could see some of that black paint from the underneath. I like this look a lot, and I know not everybody does. So obviously, if you don't like the look of distressing, you could actually just leave these and wax them as they were. I found that if you spritz your piece with some water, it makes the distressing go a little bit easier, and you don't have to scrub as much. So that made life a little easier. Then it's on to sealing my paint, and for this I am using DIY's clear wax as a first step, and I'm just giving these one good even coat of the clear wax and then wiping back any excess very carefully with my shop towel. The thing about painting over metal is when the paint, before the paint is cured completely, it's a little bit easier to wipe off of the metal, so you just have to be a little bit careful. Once I was done with the clear wax step on both of the candle holders, I decided to change things up and go in with a little bit of white wax on these just to bring out some more of the detail. So this is me just putting one good even coat of white wax on both of these candle holders. I like to go in the same direction with the brush as I did with the paint, and then wipe back any excess with that shop towel. And I love the way that this kind of lightened up the paint a little bit and really accentuated some of the details in these little candle holders. My third and final project for today's video are these two little wooden picture frames that I've had for a while, and they have glass in them. And so the first step was removing all of the pieces and parts to these, getting that glass out, and then on to painting my frames. And for this, I picked DIY's color Weathered Wood, which is this really pretty dark gray with a touch of brown to it. I just absolutely love it for fall. And again, I was looking for some darker colors, kind of neutrals, to add into some of my lighter colored vignettes that I have in the cottage. So I'm going over both sides of this with the weathered wood color. I didn't want any of that barn red showing through at all. And I did one coat on the back and two coats on the front. Once that was done, I decided I wanted these to have a little bit more of a barnwood feel to them. So I am dry brushing some crinoline over these just to give it a little bit more texture. You can't really see, but there are little divots in the wood that look almost like little leaves. And I thought this would help highlight those as well. So dry brushing is really simple. All you do is barely dip your brush into your paint. I'm using a chip brush for this, and then wipe off almost all of your paint so that you have literally a dry brush. And then you go in and slowly, layer over layer, add a little bit of paint to your piece. It's a little bit of a long technique because it does take a minute, but you can see the difference, and it gives the paint just a little bit of a look of aged wood, which I like. So again, just very gently going over that. And I did kind of go around the edges just to kind of highlight the edges of the frame as well. Once I was satisfied with the look of them, it was time to seal the paint. And this time I am using DIY's clear wax so that I can go over it with some white wax. So again, just making sure to hit all of the paint and make sure everything is sealed really well. Just not overloading my brush, just giving one nice even light coat of wax all over, and then taking my dry shop towel and wiping off any excess. Just being gentle. You don't want to rub too hard. You can rub your paint right off of your piece if you're not careful. You can see the difference there. Then it's on to the second frame, and the same technique, just giving it one good even coat of wax all over, and then gently wiping any excess back with that shop towel. Once this step is done, it's on to the final step, which is white wax. And so I grabbed my DIY white wax, and again, just going in, same technique, just adding a little bit of the white wax to the brush, brushing it on very gently, and then wiping back any excess with that shop towel. This helps kind of lighten up the paint some. It really highlighted the little leaves in the wood in the frames and just made them look a little bit more like aged wood. So finish up that second frame, give it a good waxing, and then again just wiping it back with the shop towel, and then it's on to the next step. So for the inside of these, I had already decided that I wanted to use Roycycled decoupage paper called Fall Botanical Project Blocks. So I took the inside of one of the frames, used that as a template to cut out 2 pieces of watercolor paper, placed the watercolor paper in the back of the botanical decoupage paper where I wanted it, traced out my square, and then cut that out with my scissors. And I did that twice, and I grabbed both of the mushroom pieces of paper because I kind of wanted the frames to match but not be a perfect match. So again, just cutting out that second piece of the decoupage paper. Then it was on to actually sticking these down to the watercolor paper. So I spritzed them with a little bit of water just to make sure they didn't have any wrinkles. And then I put liquid patina by DIY onto the watercolor paper. Then I very carefully placed my decoupage paper down over that coat of liquid patina and smoothed it down very carefully and gently with my fingers to make sure that I had good adhesion all over the piece. So this is the second one that I'm laying down. I find that it helps if you just kind of roll it down. So going over the edge just really quickly. Now they did curl up just a touch, so I put a block of wood on them to hold them down. Then it was time to put things together. And when I put this first frame together, I realized the piece of paper was too small. Apparently, these frames were just not the same size. So it was time to start over again. And so I cut out a new piece of watercolor paper, took the little sparrows off the edge of the paper, decided those would be a good fit with those mushrooms, cut them out, decoupage them on, and this was my quick fix for my oopsie daisy. Once I got that done and they were completely dry, I cut back the excess decoupage paper off the little sparrows, and then it was time to clean my glass and put my pieces all back together again. Thankfully, this time there were no issues and everything fit the way that it was supposed to. Thank goodness. And as much as I would have liked to have both of these have mushrooms in them, I really do love the little sparrows. I think they're adorable, and I'm very happy with how these guys came out. You guys think of the items that I finished for today's video? I hope you liked them. For me, I absolutely love the way the picture frames turned out. I would have liked them better if they would have turned out the first time, and I had actually paid attention to the fact that those 2 frames were a little bit different in size, but I am happy with how they came out. The nice thing about the sparrows is they aren't necessarily just for fall. Neither are the mushrooms. They can carry through until through Christmas and into winter if that's what needs to happen with them. So I was grateful for that. Anyway, if you did like the video today, I would really appreciate it if you'd give it a thumbs up. And if you're new here and you haven't already, I would love it if you would subscribe to my channel and then just hit the little notification bell so you don't miss any of my crazy happenings here at the cottage. And I wanted to remind you that all of the products that you saw me use today from DIY can be purchased through me at my website at www.theeclecticcottagespokane.com, and I've listed it down in the description box below as well. And so for Tuesday's video, I am working on a fall project that I started at least a month ago that I thought I would have done a couple weeks ago, and I'm about halfway through, and I am going to be closed tomorrow here at the shop because it is my son's wedding, and so I don't know exactly when I'm supposed to get them all done, but I will figure it out. I might only have some of them finished for Tuesday's video, but I at least want to show them to you and get that done. So anyway, I hope you'll join me on Tuesday for that. It should be fun no matter what. And I really appreciate you being here. Thank you so much. Have a great weekend, and we'll see you Tuesday. Bye.